We're here to talk about random game stuff and movie stuff. Today we're talking about Invincible. We're going to be reacting to specifically Omni-man clips.
So we're going to watch one video from each of the seasons. We're going to look at three very iconic clips.
For a lot of us who aren't familiar with Invincible lore, it all seems to be like a very simple Superman story. This man can fly, this man can shoot lasers, everything that Superman can do. But here is the main fork in between these two universes.
Their entire society is so unique.
When I saw this, I was kind of like, it felt a bit cliche for some reason.
They should not have allowed him to make friends.
Just goes to show the quality of animation they have in that scene. Having Omni-man's eyes red and tired, and
I don't think Nolan was a shit dad.
Alan's getting beat up and he's like, "Oh, Nolan, I'm gonna die before you." And then yo, bro, where was that before? Hey guys, we are Two Bytes Deep podcast. I'm Ishmam. We have Merab and Shafqat as well. We're here to talk about random game stuff and movie stuff. Today we're talking about Invincible. We're going to be reacting to three, I think, specifically Omni-man clips, and then just giving our thoughts on it, what we thought about it, and in general, what the Omni-man arc was. Merab and Shafqat, do you want to introduce yourselves?
Hi, I'm Merab. I'm also a part of Two Bytes Deep. So we're gonna talk about, as Ishmam said, we're gonna talk about Omni-man's entire arc towards the three seasons. So we're gonna watch one video from each of the seasons and see how his character arc developed from at the start of season 1 to the end. We're gonna look at three very iconic clips from each of the seasons that feature Omni-man, and we're gonna watch it, and we're gonna discuss about it. Over to you, Shafqat.
If you want to just say hi to everyone, all of that. Anything.
Yeah, no, it's great to be talking with everyone. Though I must admit, I was a last-minute addition to the roster, so it might bring a few changes to the plan. But I look forward to talking about Invincible today because, the season 3 just ended up recently, and it was one of the better shows from Amazon Prime. I think one of the reasons I even have Amazon Prime at this moment. So yeah, season 3 had its strong points, as with season 1 and 2, though I'd say season 1 was even better. But yeah, let's get this going and talk about these clips.
One more thing before we get started, I just want to make it clear, this is going to be comic spoiler free. I myself have read all the comics till the end, but Ishmam and Shafqat haven't. So we're not going to go into any of the comic details. Nerd. We're just going to keep it till the TV show. So yeah.
We trust you, Merab.
Yeah.
please save it for us.
All right. So let's just get into the clips.
So this is the clip, first clip we're going to watch. This is from season 1. This is towards the end of season 1. It's when Omni-man finally comes clean to Mark and tells him the truth of his origins, where he really came from, and the origins of the Viltrumite, and the truth about Mark himself too. Let's get started.
Mark, we need to talk.
No! Someone's controlling you! Dad! Dad, tell me how to stop them!
Mark.
Let my dad go! Let him go!
Stop. It's me, Mark. It's just me. This isn't how I wanted to do this, but I don't have a choice. It's time for you to know where I really come from. I am from Viltrum, but it's not the planet I've told you about. We have created a perfect civilization, but it took all of our strength, determination, and courage to get there. In order for our people to reach their full potential, we had to remove the weak from our society. It was a long and difficult process. When it was over, our population was cut in half. But what emerged from the ashes was unstoppable. By the time I was born, Viltrum was already the greatest empire.
I think one thing I really like about this part is when they show the Viltrumites, they basically are showing like characters we will get to know like later in the seasons. So I think like having rewatching this, like I think that's a really interesting part of it.
Yeah, another interesting thing I thought like of like especially like this is like not only like the Viltrumite's origin and everything, like their entire society is so unique in my opinion. Like building a society out of like just like the strongest, like and like it's like they don't even consider other strengths, right? They just like just consider pure brute strength. So like they didn't take into account like intellectual strength. They didn't take into account like other skills like medicine, tech. There's so many things like other than brute strength like that society needs to function. So like just I wonder like how they like created a society of like spacefaring like a civilization with like just people like who are like basically strong in like the literal sense, right? Like they're
I guess it was more so like if you are smart, you are able to outwit. Like if your smartness is good enough to keep you surviving, then like you are basically surviving kind of a thing. And also like there's a baseline amount of strength that you need. I actually had the opposite impression than you did. Like where it was like when I saw this, I was kind of like it felt a bit cliche for some reason. I don't exactly know why. I can't really point to another show where they do like the survival of the fittest essentially. But the idea for some reason seemed very stale to me. But yeah, first season wasn't like my favorite. But yeah.
And just going back to that scene, right? When you have that moment where Nolan is as cool as he can be and Mark's in utter disbelief, and he's like, no, it's sort of like, show yourself, whoever you are who's controlling my dad, this is not the real person. Just goes to show the quality of animation they have in that scene. Because when we think about animation quality, we think like huge explosions and all sort of particle effects and stuff like that. But over here, just something as simple as having Omni-man's eyes red and tired, and Mark's eyes, I keep mixing Steven Yeun and Mark Grayson because they're the same. At least I think they're the same. But yeah, like he the eyes, it speaks a lot over there. And it just goes to show testament of the quality that was maintained over here. And what a great performance by J.K. Simmons as Nolan again, right? The man more popularly known as J. Jonah Jameson from the Spider-Man movies of old that we all know and love. The very angry and very lively newspaper editor from the Daily Bugle. So it's good to see J.K. Simmons' voice back again in media.
Another thing,
I
like,
think, Marco.
So another thing, like, I thought, like, when I saw that scene was like Mark's entire reaction, right? So, like, Mark, like, didn't think his dad, like, was like his first conclusion was like somebody's controlling him, and not that like, oh, yeah, you betrayed me or like such. Like, he didn't doubt his dad at all. His first immediate conclusion was like, oh, somebody's controlling my dad, and that goes to show
this is an imposter. Yeah,
that goes to show like how
I think for me, like it that was sort of the part of the show that kept me in, even though like initially I wasn't very invested into like some of the concepts that they were building up, like the whole Viltrumite concept was like a big bad concept kind of. Like I could see certain things that I wasn't really a fan of, but I think like as Shafkat mentioned, the emotions of the scene where Mark is like not believing that his dad is having to say something, like this whole story building up with the emotional aspects of it, that's what sort of made me get through like season 1, which is again not my favorite season.
But it also like kind of shows like Mark's bond with his dad and like the icon he is to the entire world. For example, like I found it kind of unique because like Cecil, I guess like obviously his job is kind of like Nick Fury or like even like Batman from DC, like because like they usually doubt everybody. So I get like his
that's a good comparison.
Yeah, his point like where he's like, oh, he's always such. But even then, like at first like he like didn't want to believe that Omni-man was, because like everybody had such huge faith on Omni-man, right? Like
I think Cecil never really did believe it wasn't Omni-Man. He always suspected him. He just didn't want to believe it, right?
That's what I'm saying.
If it is Omni-Man, then we're fucked. I think that was like the whole situation Cecil was.
Just thinking of that particular scene, right? For a lot of us who aren't, let's say, familiar with Invincible lore or Invincible in general, a lot of us went into the show expecting a very Superman-esque arc. We have this person who came in from space, who sort of like integrates with Earth, and it all seems to be like a very simple Superman story. This man can fly, this man can shoot lasers, pretty much does everything that Superman can do.
Yeah.
But here is the main fork in between these two universes, that you have this person who came in with the idea of conquering rather than settling here for peace and like helping humanity grow or something.
Yeah, but like I think that concept of like
keep playing.
Just one more thing.
1 minute 30 seconds.
Yeah, just one more thing on top of this. Like I think like the entire concept of that was like kind of burned before too, because we saw like shows like The Boys and also Brightburn, where like they are like also like superpower. In Brightburn, it was essentially Superman's origin story, but like he turned evil, right? And like the same thing can be like said about Homelander. Homelander was obviously artificially created and everything, but he is essentially a Superman-esque character. Okay, let's move on.
Spoilers to all these other shows. Everyone will appreciate that.
I mean, Merab did promise he won't give spoilers for Invincible only, so...
Yeah, he's sticking to his promises, but he's spoiling everything else in his wake. But yeah, let's play it again.
In our galaxy. We decided to make it the only empire in our galaxy. Once I was old enough, I joined the war effort. It was hard, but I believe in our cause. Some species resisted, of course, but no one could withstand us for long. Soon our empire encompassed thousands of planets, but as our territory grew, our forces were stretched thin and our expansion stopped. We needed a better, more efficient way to conquer worlds. Our most trusted officers were each given a planet to weaken by themselves. I was one of those lucky few. I couldn't tell your mother why I was here. But that time's come to an end. And now, we need to get Earth ready to join the Viltrum Empire. Mark, this is good news. We can finally do what we were meant to do, be who we were meant to be.
You lied to me.
You couldn't know the truth. Not until you had your powers, not until I was sure.
Sure of what?
Sure you were a Viltrumite.
So if I wasn't, I'd just be one more human to conquer?
This isn't your world. It's theirs. But we can help them. We can stop wars, eliminate hunger, give them medical technology centuries ahead of what they have now. We've already been doing it. If it wasn't for you and me, this planet would be in flames. All we have to do is welcome Earth into our empire. I do love your mother, but she's more like a pet to me.
A pet?
This is the only way, Mark.
Don't touch me.
So be it. Do you really think you can stop me?
Shit's just getting serious.
I think the line where it's like, your mother is just a pet to me, that line has like sort of... I can like hear it every time. I think it's a crazy line.
It was such a simple exchange for Omni-Man. Oh, she's just a pet. She's a pet? Like, that small pause in between, his reaction, it's great acting.
Yeah, no, like, I didn't think it was like a simple thing for him to say, because like, he's hesitated saying that. I think he wanted to convince himself more than like convince Mark that like, oh, she doesn't mean anything to me. But like, obviously, like, she means something. Like, otherwise he wouldn't like lived with her for like 20 years. I guess like for them, time is kind of relative because like Viltrumites live for like thousands and thousands of years, like millions of years, maybe even. We don't really know like how long Viltrumite lifespans are, but like we assume like they live for like a million years, right? So like for them, like what for us is like a long time, like 20 years, it's basically like a second to them essentially. So like I kind of get that, but like even then it's like I feel like they still had a bond, right? Because like he lived with her for so long, and like
just a very, very poor choice of words. You have those moments where you think of something, it comes out wrong, and 5 minutes later you come out of your professor's office or from that very close friend, and you, oh damn, I could have like framed that better. And that's definitely one of those moments I think for Omni-man. Like that probably could have like turned out the whole story differently had he exchanged that idea better. Like I think that was one of the key tipping points where
I think
Mark,
it was definitely a tipping point, but I think at least that's what my interpretation is. I feel like Mark was already against it, like the whole thing, and I don't think he would have agreed. I think him saying that just made him pissed off and like want to fight him. Aside from that, I think one of the more interesting points is like the idea of like, oh, we're very powerful, and then if you come under our protection, you will be able to sort of thrive as much as us, right? And then sort of what's hidden in that is like, what's the cost, right? He doesn't sort of mention what the cost is, but the cost essentially is, which Mark understands, is because I think he also explains how Viltrumite was formed, that like we're going to have to kill the weak so that we can keep the stronger people.
I think also like that entire thing like of like them being the stronger like empire and whatnot, and like the other countries thriving, it's kind of like what I felt like from it was like it's kind of inspired, like it's that's what I think. I don't know what the authors were thinking, but I feel like it's kind of inspired by colonialism in a sense, because like,
of course it is.
Yeah, because like it's like like the British Empire, like the Spanish Empire, whatever, like they go and like colonize like South Asia, like Southeast Asia, like Africa, and like they essentially are like the more developed civilization. So they come in with the promise of, oh, we're gonna make your societies better. But that's not really the case, right? Like there's obviously a lot at stake, like a lot of things.
I feel like when we were younger, we read about like I think the British rule in like the Indian subcontinent, right? And there's all these like, oh look, we gave you guys railways and like we gave you guys like all these things, but I think they kind of mention it, but they don't go too deep into like all the ways they basically like messed us over. But yeah, I think any empire, I think this is just like a sort of commentary on like empires themselves, and it's very similar, right? Like you look at like other people and you're like, oh, they're like weak and they're like not doing the right things and we have to go in and fix it, which is sort of like the Viltrumite idea as well. It's like, oh, we have all these weak empires and like we are strong because we did something and now we must spread it everywhere. But yeah, so I think this is sort of what hooked me into the entire show, I think. But yeah.
Yeah, and for a group of colonists, they're like surprisingly quite racially diverse. You've got like white people, you've got black people, you've got Asians. I think like that's no brown people though.
Yeah, like I think that's the point though of Viltrumites, right? Like it is kind of like racially diverse because they're a complete different race. They're a race in the literal sense. Like it's not like, oh, like because like we're all humans and they're like Viltrumites. They're complete species. Yeah, so completely species. I mixed up race and species, but they're a complete different species. So they have like discriminations on species level. Like that like unites their entire like species as a whole, right? Like I feel like that's the case if whenever your world develops to a certain point and they develop space travel and like they find like other solar systems, right? This is like going into like the sci-fi shows, but like you see this in sci-fi shows, but like essentially when you reach the stars and you talk to like other species, it's like very well portrayed into media that like that's when like your species unites and like the species itself like starts to like differentiate and like discriminate toward like have discrimination towards other sentient species. Like that's where like the discrimination goes to, not between.
I
like,
think
people.
there's also a level of like they're not as sentient as I am, kind of a thing.
Yeah.
A good sort of, you can kind of see that as like the way humans treat animals, they are treating humans, right? And you can see that in his verbiage, like your mother was a pet to me. So it was like,
And
it's
just to top that off, like the life cycle thing, right? Merab also just mentioned they live like hundreds and thousands of years, right? Which is sort of like synonymous to what a human, let's say, had like
exactly.
a goldfish or a small bird.
Yeah.
Or
Essentially.
like like bees or like flies, they only live like 2 days or something, right? So it's like what's our life compared to theirs and stuff like that. So a lot of interesting philosophical implications.
One more thing I found like interesting, like I guess we should move on, but like before that, like, I just want to mention one more thing I found interesting was that Omni-man, like he like never like raised Mark as like a Viltrumite, right? He raised him as a human. I don't know if it's because like Mark didn't show his powers or whatnot, but like if Omni-man wanted Mark to like leave behind his humanity, if he wanted to like become a Viltrumite, conquer Earth, he should not have like made Mark create attachment to the world. He should not have like allowed him to make friends. He should have allowed him to have like bonds and like integrate so much into like human society as he did. And like, he should have always like that's how you should like he should have indoctrinated him from a young age that, oh, we are Viltrumites, that this is our purpose, blah blah blah,
Yeah, any future.
Yeah, or it might have been a
Nolan
biological
should take
thing
notes from
because
Merab.
Sorry, what?
yeah, because I think
I was saying any
go ahead.
future Nolans and Viltrumites should take notes from Merab to how to conquer world properly. Make sure your kids don't like the other species there. First thing on the
No, it's just like a thing like I thought like if Mark would not, if like the only reason Mark like rebelled against his dad was because like he had bonds here, he had friends, he had his mom. Obviously.
I don't know, I haven't read the comics, don't spoil it, but if we go into like the next season and stuff, then we have all these like other dimension marks, right? And then an interesting question pops up. It's like, why is this Mark the only Mark that didn't join his father? What was different in this world? And I don't know if that gets answered in the show, but that is a very interesting question for me that I want to know. And I don't know if you have already spoiled it for us. Don't even let us know if you have. But
no, I guess like that's an interesting question which they don't directly answer, but I think to a certain extent, I think it's implied. Because I do remember, and they also reference it in later seasons, as we'll cover in maybe one of the next videos, that Mark does get his power a bit late compared to like other Viltrumites or Viltrumite
but other
hybrids, right?
But like they don't compare against all the other Marks that we should see later, right? Because there's like an infinite dimension of Marks. So Mark could just generally be a late bloomer. So Merab, don't spoil anything.
No, I think like what Shafqat is saying is that like
he's more human than the other Marks.
Like,
the other Marks would say maybe more Viltrumite percentage. They probably got their powers earlier, but in Mark, maybe the human side was more stronger, which resisted them.
I do not think
that was my thinking.
Be careful in what you say because you know too much.
Yeah, I don't think that's the case. I personally think it's because it's like Mark he developed his powers quite late, so he was more exposed. Let's say if he developed his powers at 12, his dad would not have let him be as exposed to humanity as he was and he would have started training him from a younger age, and he would have had his power from a younger age. So, and we can see from something like Brightburn, right? If you have that type of power at such a young age, you see yourself as much superior than others, right? If you could squash everybody you can see with just a snap of your fingers, right? You would think you are much greater or much more powerful than them, and your life has more meaning, blah blah blah. So it makes it much more easier later on if Omni-man revealed what the true purpose is. If he had
I think that actually reminds me of something where it was I have been bullied a lot in high school and school, And so I always used to have like this grudge against like the people who bullied me, right? But then I think like in my third year or fourth year at some point, like there was this girl who talked to me, who I knew from like when I was very young. And then, I would always say like this thing where I have never bullied anyone. And then I think she told me that, oh, hey, when I was younger, you used to fat shame me and stuff. And then that hurt me a lot. And then, you used to bully me. And I heard that, and that hurt me so much. And why I bring it up right now is because this whole thing about like having power versus not having power and how you sort of develop because of that. And I think growing up, like I used to feel very powerless. So I would always nowadays whenever I see anything that's like kind of going wrong and stuff like that, I try to be kind of like vocally against it, or like try to stop it, or like if I see something in myself that's happening, I stop myself. But yeah, like it's very interesting, like the thing you bring up, like what happens when you give a young kid a lot of power, because we kind of have seen it in like school and stuff like that, and what happens when kids get a lot of power essentially, which is interesting.
Yeah. So
spoiled kid essentially.
Yeah.
Like
yeah. Let's move on to like the next episode.
Alright. Okay, so this episode is this clip is, what is this clip? So this is when I love this twist, honestly, when Omni-man invites Mark over with Saiyan's dog, Traxon dressed up as Saiyan's dog, and then they're in the thing where he's trying to convince Mark to help him with the Viltrimites, and you can see I think this part is like right when Nolan is like, why do I care about them or something? But yeah, let's just give it a watch.
There's the great Nolan. Lucan found you first, I see. Glad you haven't gone too soft.
Lucan was weak. Now he's dead.
Then he deserved his fate.
Like these insects. You barely touch them, and they die.
I'll kill you for what you did to these people.
Then do it.
Wait, you don't have to...
Because you're Nolan's son. I'll make this quick.
Worry about yourself, Nolan.
There! I promised I'd make it quick. I never break my promises.
Why so worried, Nolan? If your son dies, he never deserved to live. Talking won't keep you alive, Vigor.
Mark, what are you doing? She's tearing you apart!
Yeah, I noticed.
You're fighting like you're on Earth. This is different. Stop holding back, or you're gonna get us both killed.
I'm not holding back.
Yes, you are. She's trying to kill you, Mark. If you're not trying to kill her, you're going to die. Don't think. Act. You need to fight like a Viltrumite.
No, I don't kill people.
If you don't do this, we're all dead. You, me, your brother, and every single Thraxan on this planet.
I think this is like a very interesting sort of dilemma that Mark sort of falls into. And I think this is sort of explored through, like, I think from the start of this season all the way up to like season 3, about Mark not wanting to kill people. And I think that is more in line. I don't know about you guys. Like, I am always more in line with, I would have like no harm done to anyone else. Like, even in like a sort of life or death situation, I would like always sort of think, like, again, I don't know, I've never been in these situations, but idealistically, I would want it to end in like incapacitation rather than like someone's death, right? And that is sort of, you know, what like they show in Batman and like all these, you know, Spider-Man, like, you know, I don't kill people, we just like, you know, kind of incapacitate them and then hand them over to the police, which is sort of what like Mark has to wrestle with. Like, what do you do when your you know, threat is so powerful that if you don't go all out, then you've put yourself in risk, and not just yourself, everyone else in risk. And that is like a dilemma that I really liked being explored in shows and in general. So yeah, do you guys have any thoughts on that?
I took this kind of differently. I honestly thought like this dilemma that Mark had was due to like the events that transpired in season 1, where his dad, like as a Viltrumite, he like killed so many people, and like he kind of used Mark as a weapon to kill people, right? Because he like smashed him too, and like he saw all that death, destruction, etc. And it kind of set in his mind that, oh, being a Viltrumite means killing people, and Mark doesn't want to be a Viltrumite; he wants to be human. So, and like what one of the basis of human society is that we don't kill, right? Because killing is like killing is against the law. It's a crime. So if you kill, you're not human. Like, that's what we know, and that's what we say, and that's the truth, right? Like, for us as humans, like if you kill somebody, if you take another person's life, we essentially stop being human in a sense, right? We like lose part of humanity, and like Mark didn't want to lose that part of himself. Like, he didn't want to be less human and be more Viltrumite, because like he like associated killing with becoming a Viltrumite. So that's why I feel like he didn't want to kill. He didn't want to embrace his Viltrumite side.
Yeah, but I think I also like the fact that there's this like whole situation of like, you know, it's kind of like the thought experiment when people are like, oh, like, you know, like, you know, most people would be like, oh, if I could go back, I would like kill Hitler, right? Because he would kill so many other people. So it's like, it also brings up that dilemma of like, do you kill one person to like save, you know, a lot of other people, like the trolley problem and stuff like that. But yeah, go Shaka.
No, but yeah, thought experiment. Would you still kill Hitler as a baby? That's something we could leave for later. But no, the enormity of this scene, right? There's just so much going on. I think this is the first scene that Mark meets Nolan after all that transpired on Earth. Not just that, he is having to be in terms with the fact that he now has a half brother who is of another alien species. He also has to come into terms with the fact that, hey, my dad actually wasn't as bad. Maybe he was bad. Maybe somewhere along the lines he had a change in heart. I think he mentions that he saw how fragile and how sensitive the creatures in this particular planet were, and that to a certain extent, I think, helped him sort of like reconsider, or I think he was in the process of reconsidering after he fled Earth and he somehow ended up here. So a lot of things, not just for Nolan, but for, I guess, definitely more for Mark to handle, on top of this very important decision where he has to decide whether he wants to kill this Viltrumite or not.
Yeah, I completely forgot about like the brother part of it, right? Like, there's also like, it adds in like into the trolley problem. It's like, oh, not only do you have like this person is someone who you don't know if she can kill. And then there's also on top of that, like, if you don't kill it, you have this half brother that you technically didn't want and were very annoyed to see, but he's there now. What do you do? So it's like a very, I think, I love this like sort of setup for plot. But yeah, this is where like season 2 honestly like just hooked me into Invincible. And season 2 I loved.
And as a person who didn't like come into the show from the comics, what a blast! Like what a setup this was.
Yeah. Right, so I guess we should continue playing unless we have.
Yep, let's continue.
All right.
Remember what I told you.
the music always goes so hard.
Finally. I'd say you fought well,
Do you regret attacking my family now? Do you?
Dad!
Honestly, the fatalities are one of my favorite parts, even though I'm not a big fan of gore. It's just so creative sometimes.
Mark, are you okay?
No.
Don't worry. It's over. Let me have a look. Next time you kill somebody, make sure they're dead. It's done.
I think, like, as this scene was happening, I was like, he didn't kill the guy with the, the squished eyes in the head. Like, he didn't confirm it. And then the other guy comes in, and, like, honestly, what a beautiful twist, because I was like, I hate this guy when I see him, like, for the first time, Nolan. And then they, break his back. And now I'm sad for the guy I hated, 40 minutes ago or something, which is so well written.
Yeah, no, I found in Nolan's entire character arc quite interesting. I also, because we know from the start, I think it's the end of the first episode we see him killing the Guardians, right? So after he killed the Guardians, I kind of expected I don't know, to say some remorse in him, but he didn't have any remorse in killing the Guardians. So we kind of got that. Oh no, he's a cold-blooded killer. He even though he was with the Guardians for so many years, they fought alongside each other. They should have been allies with each other, right? Friends even. And we saw the Guardians trusted him so much. They were oh, somebody's controlling him. They had similar reactions to Mark, right, when Nolan first started attacking them. So, but Nolan felt nothing. Even later on, as we see season 2, he doesn't even I don't think even then, even after his sort of redemption, we don't see him talking about the Guardians at all. But after that, and after the entire thing with Mark, we saw the previous clip, we saw him revealing everything, calling his quote unquote wife a pet, and everything we saw. It made us kind of hate his character, but now when we go into season 2, we see his growth. He starts we still see that he actually regretted what he did to Mark, what he became, etc. We saw that he made himself another life here, and he started caring for these people, this entire race. And even though these races are much more fragile than humans, they live such a small amount of time, and in that time they grow old, die, etc. So even then, he started caring for these people, and he got upset. We saw at the start of the clip that he got upset that they were killed by Viltrimites, right? So yeah, I found his entire character growth quite interesting.
No, yeah, it doesn't change the fact that he's a cold-blooded killer. He still is, but now he's just a cold-blooded killer with a heart, which is always good. We always like a good gray character, not someone that's just black or white.
Yeah, for sure.
I think they're going for a redemption arc, right? And Nolan is such an interesting character to tried to redeem. I think like this is also probably like the next clip has it. No, I don't think the next clip has it. But basically, like the idea that like sort of everyone is redeemable, like Cecil like tries to do, like we can fix them. That is what I would like to believe, what I would strive to believe. But then like it's just so interesting because I've never seen a show try to tackle like making someone do something so atrocious, like as Nolan did, which is like killing off the entire like Guardians, right? Like every single person who's there to protect like a group of people, only there to do good, or as we've seen, only doing good. You just kill them completely off, and he tells you that that was intentional. And then he goes around like killing people like nothing, like everywhere, has no remorse. And then you come here to this point and you're trying to sort of redeem him, being like, oh, look, now I care for people. And for Mark, like if you think about it, it's like, oh, so now you can be a good dad. Like you had to be a shit dad on Earth. And now over here with your new family, now you want to be the good dad. So it's just so...
That though brings up one thing though. I don't think, given everything, other than like the last moment Mark and Nolan had on Earth, I don't think Nolan was a shit dad. Like I like honestly, like watching like the Adam Eve special, like the end, and like seeing like some clips from their past, I honestly thought like Nolan was quite a good dad to Mark like throughout his life. Only at the end, like his betrayal, like that's why I think like the betrayal stung more.
There was a point where there is obviously like Nolan wasn't a bad dad. But there was a whole like situation of, I think even like in season 3, like Debbie sort of talks about how like she was the one to sort of care for Mark while Nolan was out fighting like monsters, right? So he didn't get to spend a lot of time with Nolan, if you think about that. And also there is just like that, like just a few like sort of season, like sort of months or like I don't know, days that we see with like Mark and Nolan. Like it's sort of like that one day, right? Like the whole everything happens. Like that is sort of like it shifts your perspective on everything, right? Like you had to kill everyone on Earth to realize that killing is bad. Like as a son, if you like sort of take Mark's perspective, it's like a crazy situation that Nolan has put himself in, where it's like, oh, now like if you kind of think about it, it's like a divorced dad or something, where it's like, I'm sorry I was really bad to you. I realized by being bad to you guys that I should have been better. And so now with my new family, look at how good I am. Which is, I think it's just an interesting, like sort of thread to go on. Because I think they kind of do this with, in How I Met Your Mother with Barney, where he sees his like new dad with like all the good life and like him being, and then when he was younger he used to like his dad not knowing it was his dad.
But there's the entire thing difference. Like Barney's dad like wasn't there like most of his life, whereas like Nolan was there for like most of Mark's. Like he saw him. Like it's not like he didn't see him. Like maybe he wasn't there. Like
yeah, it's obviously
it's like
different. But I'm just sort of talking about the general theme.
Yeah. Okay, I think like let's move on to the next clip, I think.
Okay, so now we look at one of my more favorite clips from season 3. Season 3 has got a bunch of them. But yeah, like I was waiting for Alan, my favorite Chinopin, to show up in this season for a very long time, but we only get very short glimpses. And boy, was one of these 5 or 10 minute shorts like more than enough for what we sort of like expected. So just a bit of context. They have Alan, the Unopan alien, tied up in the Viltrumite prison. They're trying to execute him, but repeatedly failing. And it was over these repeated instances of trying to execute Alan that Nolan, who's also happens to be Alan's cellmate, starts to feel sympathy for him and actually like starts to bond together, which leads to a very badass prison break, as we will see shortly.
All right, I'll start the clip.
Choose your last words. Sorry we're late. Oh man, you look terrible. Did you guys do this? That's not very nice.
I told you to go. You should have listened to him.
Viltrimites. At long last, my thirst for battle can be satiated.
Forgive him, he's a fan. He's been really wanting to meet you guys.
Long have I waited for such a worthy challenge. I will savor this. And if this conflict brings about the end of my life, I will savor it all the more. I'll kill you for that. Is that a promise?
Hold on, we'll get you free in a second. I said go. I hear you, but I'm gonna do this anyway.
So you're the special Unopin.
I mean, I don't like to brag.
You're not so special.
Stop! No! Oh, sorry I ruined your execution, Nolan. Looks like I'm going first. Get away from him! Good to see you, man. Did you get a haircut? You trim your mustache? Did you style your mustache? Get up!
You disgrace yourself again!
I knew you had it in you. Shit, I hate these guys. You think battle beasts can survive in space? Probably, right? What?
Talk about a fatality.
I want a high five you or something because we won, but that was super gross.
Yes, it was a good.
Yeah, that was a good fight. Like that was like, in my opinion, like I liked like this fight like a lot. Like this like had so much in it, and like it had like it featured like Battle Beast again. We haven't seen him since season 1, and like so like I really like Battle Beast's character, and so like yeah, it was like very fun to like see him again in this season.
Yeah. I think a Battle Beast is also an interesting sort of situation where it's like when you first see him, he's destroying, Mark, like, he's beating the shit out of Mark. and then now you see him, and then you're like, yeah, panel beast. This is exactly what we need. Which is, it's interesting to observe like how you sort of react to these characters in different points in time.
Yeah, no.
Yeah, and an unlikely alliance. If your enemy is my enemy, we're friends.
Yeah.
Supposedly, but regardless, for me, Alan's on screen, so I'm happy.
Oh yeah. Alan, I think when I first saw him in season 1, I didn't really particularly care about him. And then I was like I remember when the first season ends with basically Alan saying, "Oh, so like I gotta take you to the Galaxy Guardians or something. I forget the name."
Yeah, like Alan was like talking about like, oh, he wanted to warn Mark that this was like Viltrumite territory.
Yeah, not that. But basically, he was like, "Oh, I should take you to the like the headquarters, right? The space headquarters." And I was like, I don't know what it's called, but I'm just saying, I don't want like. I was enjoying it, like, just now, like, while it's on Earth. I don't want it to become, like, a whole galaxy-wide situation. But I think, like, with the introduction of Alan and how they do it very slowly, and, like, they still have Mark still on Earth and not, like, off to a galactic fight and, like, make us forget about the scope of everything. I think I really enjoyed how they sort of integrated that whole situation. And like they actually made me start caring for Alan. Like I was very scared, I think last season, right, when like they almost kill off Alan, and I was like, again, like you spent 30 minutes for me to get attached to a character only to kill him off. But yeah, a great run.
I kind of like. Yeah, so like I wanted to say that, like it's called the Coalition of Planets, so like that's what you're talking about.
There you go. The planet's headquarters.
Yeah, but yeah, like it's quite interesting. I also found like Nolan's entire thing like in this clip quite interesting. Like he was bound, like he like as you saw, like he could have escaped if he wanted to, but like I think somewhere he was resigned to that he did not want to escape. He didn't escape because like he thought that he betrayed his race, his species. Right, he betrayed his species, so like this is like the fate he deserved, even though he betrayed them for his own reasons, blah blah blah. But in like a sense, like in somewhere in his head, he was still like, oh, I betrayed my species, so like this is the fate I deserve. Like this is the only way I can preserve my order.
I think he explicitly says it, right? Like he says that like I have betrayed the Viltrumites, I have betrayed my wife, I betrayed my son. Like he sort of lists everything, and then he's like, he believes himself that he's the person who deserves to die. Like I think he explicitly says it in like one of the seasons. I don't know.
Yeah, and like the only
was this idea that Alan was trying to convince him that you're not the bad guy who you think you are, and he was trying to like change his mind all this time. Which it took this very near to death beating of Alan to finally to have Nolan flip that switch.
Yeah, I think Alan also fakes that, right? Like he even fakes like the fact that he's getting beat up real bad. I think that's also like a part either that we just missed in that clip, or that happens in the middle from like a sly stare, because like Alan's getting beat up and he's like, oh Nolan, I'm gonna die before you. And then like, Nolan comes up and then the next thing he sees is like Alan just punching the shit out of the Viltrumite. And Nolan's like, yo bro, where was that before? So yeah. Like I also like, I think this ties back into like all the whole redemption stuff, right? Like who is redeemable? Like, and like Alan is sort of in this situation where it's like, you have done all the bad things that you've done in your past, but now is your time to sort of, you might not even be able to like redeem yourself, but why just kill yourself when you can help us, right? You can do good now. Like it doesn't matter what you did in your past. So I think again that's like a philosophy that resonates very well with me. So yeah, love that.
Yeah, and also like I kind of like thought that like the only reason Nolan saved himself and Alan too, like saved himself was because of Alan, because he saw that Alan was gonna die and he didn't want another innocent person to die because of him. So like he was like, I'm gonna save him, and like in the process like he saved himself too.
Yeah.
And like that, like I think like kind of like goes towards like it's nearing like Nolan's redemption arc. Obviously, he still needs to reconcile with Debbie and Mark, etc. But like it's like we can see like where it's heading. Like like the plot is like going towards Nolan's complete redemption, which like I don't know how he's gonna do. Like well, I know, but like I'm not gonna say, but like how he's gonna do in front of the eyes of like people and such. But like it's gonna be it's gonna be a long journey. But like at least like we see that him like going towards that way, you know.
All right. I have a couple questions for you guys for this episode. So one is, do you think, like, I guess I've answered my version of it. Like, do you think Nolan is a redeemable character? So Shafkat, do you want to answer that?
Sure. Yeah, I can take a stab at it. So it's such a loaded question, right? There's so much to consider, but I guess at least from the plot standpoint, they are trying to sort of like build up to this idea where Nolan, who might have taken part in mass genocide for the Viltrumites and planets before, he starts to realize the error of his ways and starts to sort of like fight back.
I get all that.
To success or not.
But I want to sort of ask you, like, is a character like Nolan ever redeemable? Or is he like irredeemable? Because I think that's a whole
okay. So let me put this straight.
Yeah.
So if this was like a two statement thing, like we know this person who did this, is this person redeemable? I'd probably say no.
Mm-hmm.
But just from the flow of following the story so far and how it's proceeded, I'll say that he is redeemable, if that makes any sense.
Also, the same situation. No. For you, I have a tweaked version of the question, because you've seen you've read all the materials, right? So I would say put yourself in the shoes that we are in right now. So forget about everything that happens afterwards. Obviously, you can't completely, but like to this point, do you think Nolan is a redeemable character?
Till this point, I'd say no. Because he did so much. He he killed so many people.
I didn't say if he was redeemed. I'm saying if he's a redeemable character.
No, yeah, that's my point. Like, I don't think he's like
just
because like unless he does like something like drastic, like it's like almost impossible to redeem him, because like no matter what he does, like the sins of so many, like he took billions of lives. Just at the end of season 1, we see him like killing so many people, right? Like, how do you forgive? Like, how do you answer to like people's families if you forgive that person, right?
Yeah. I think this is once we sort of, I guess, have a more like conclude on Invincible. I kind of do want to know like what your actual true opinion is.
Because we can come back to this.
Yeah. So of course we can. I think for me personally, as I said, like I wish like that is the ideal that I have, that like no matter how bad someone did, like they should be, I don't know if redeemable is the right word, like everyone can sort of do good, like even after they have done bad. But then it's like, can Hitler, it's the same question, like, could Hitler be redeemable? So it's like a whole situation. I think for me, I think there is a chance and potential for Nolan to be redeemable in the way we are talking about it today. Even at this point, I am again, I think, too forgiving person, possibly. So I don't know. I think Mehrab and I disagree on a lot of these situations. But yeah, also, finally, one last question. I guess more for the comments if anyone's watching. So would you kill baby Hitler? Or I guess in this case, would you kill Nolan so he doesn't do all the damage and save all these lives that have been killed? So yeah, that's always an interesting question, and I think we can kind of wrap it up if you have any finishing thoughts.
Yeah,
I want to answer it. It's for the audience.
Yeah. I just want to make one more thing. We talk about his redemption, but like I think like one of the other things like I didn't think of was like, how many lives did he save on Earth? Right? I guess you can't we don't really know his past in detail.
If you didn't know the number, would it change? Like if it's like, oh, he killed a billion people, he saved a billion people. Does that change your opinion? Is it just a numbers thing? Is it just like, I saved a billion, I killed a billion, now I'm at 0?
So can you ever put anything against one death? Like, whatever you do, could you ever put anything to counterbalance one death? That's a very difficult question.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah. It's a very hard thing to think of. Like, if he wasn't there in that situation, a billion people would have died. But regardless, like, you like take him out of the situation, because like he killed a billion, he saved a billion. So like regardless, there would have been a billion less lives, right? Like that's like the thing. I don't like yeah. Sure. So like it's an entire thing.
Go on.
Yeah, I guess like it depends on like the people's families, right? Like the families would not obviously, because like in terms of like the situation states that he saved people from, they are obviously thankful to him, but like the people whose loved ones he took away, who he killed, like they're obviously gonna hate him, right? Regardless. So yeah.
Yeah, I mean, if you think about it, right, like this is another interesting one, which is you know how the universal healthcare guy, a CEO was shot, right? The family of the Universal CEO guy will never forgive like Luigi Mangione, right? But he's sort of, in some ways, in most parts of the internet, considered a hero. So it's like, it's the complete opposite, right? Like where it's like, oh, he killed someone, and then everyone's like hailing him as a hero.
Yeah, I kind of find this like very morally wrong, in my opinion. Like you should never be a hero. Like if you kill someone, like
we're literally watching a show.
Yeah. Yeah. Like yeah. But in real life, like outside of fiction, like I feel like killing a person shouldn't make you a hero, right? Like I feel like media has like kind of wrapped it in a sense that it's portraying like regardless of your intentions, regardless of what he did or what the person is, you should never take law into your own hands. Like file a case against him if you think, right? But like you shouldn't take action into your own hands unless it's for self-defense. I don't think that you should kill a person. Personal opinion.
Right. So I think we have to wrap up.
Taking a life, it's something so difficult, right? Like I'd bet that even the chicken we eat every day, like if a person was given the task to slaughter the chicken you had to eat for that day, I believe like 99.9% of people would sort of like back out and say, I can't take this life. Let's leave it to someone else.
Yeah, I don't think 99%. That's like there's a lot of chicken being killed.
Maybe I'm just being too optimistic.
But like, I feel like a lot of people would turn vegan if we had to like hunt and kill for our own. I think that's definitely a thing.
I'm not 100% sure about that, because if you really think about it, like prehistorically, we used to kill the animals we ate.
Well,
right?
Yeah, but so like I feel like. I feel like society has developed in a way, so people have become much more softer in a sense. So like
if somehow you could enforce a global rule that like everyone had to kill the animals they have to eat, I feel like people would slowly get over it.
Yeah. If you like, I think, but like thing is like if they introduce it suddenly, I think a lot of people would stop like eating meat for a while.
Sure. Like obviously the first time I wouldn't do it.
But like I feel like if like 100 years down the line, obviously like meat eaters would introduce their family to this custom. There would be a certain age that their children would have to start killing. So if you're introduced to something,
I think even not 100 years. So personally speaking, if this happened, I think I would be like, okay, for a few days I'm meat free right now. But I think I'll have to slowly like get the courage, because I think for me, like I'm like, oh, I need the protein and blah blah. Okay, I think, but anyways, so I think I would like have to figure out a way to do it.
Use whey protein, Ishram. Leave the chickens alone.
I feel like I'm like triggering vegans and vegetarians right now. But anyways,
okay,
I think we've triggered enough people.
I think that's a good note to leave it on. Guys, like let us know your thoughts.
Thought experiment.
What do you think? Like, is Nolan a redeemable character or not? And like, I guess like talk about it in the comments. So this is it for us. Like, we'll be posting more videos soon, hopefully. And we'll see you then. Bye.
All right. Bye.
Take care.
Take care.